Three ball. It's a goal. It's Gustav Svensson.
We want to win trophies.
Now it's Ladero, and Ladero has turned this game on its head. Now De Leon. It's a screamer from Nick De Leon.
There's two teams on the field that are trying to impose themselves on the other.
Switch to Benazet, brings it down really well on Gressel. Benazet letting fly, it's got to Carl, it's a goal! They're back for a third time in 4 years.
I think it's Rave Green today, right? Rave Green Friday, so we're fired up for that. Let's go Sounders.
Rainier and CenturyLink Field have seen a lot over the years, but never before have the Sounders played for MLS Cup on their home turf. Just 23 hours of pregame festivities to go, so follow the commissioner's lead. Get down to Pike Place Market and catch a flying fish while you can. The final preparations are underway for Seattle and Toronto. All that's left is to play the game and crown a champion. Welcome on into the AT&T MLS Studios in Midtown Manhattan. I'm Andrew Wiebe. I hope you are not tired of these guys just yet. Charlie Davies, 2019 Defender of the Year Ike Opara, and Matt Doyle. We have about a half hour here to guide you through all the pregame hype and everything you need to know ahead of Sunday's match. So let's just get right to it. And Charlie, I heard Brian Schmetzer say today that he's trying to keep things normal. How normal can you keep it ahead of a final? Is that possible?
Very possible, especially since this is their third time in 4 years. It's all about consistent, same routines, don't get too high. They're ready for this moment. They're playing at home. I expect them, if their bedtime's 10 o'clock, they're in bed at 9:45. They're ready to go.
First off, they're playing a final at home this time, which is rare for them compared to what they were doing the last two times. But you and I both know that there's no such thing as a normal final. It's not just any other
When
game.
I'm on the roster, if I'm in the locker room, I'm making sure this is normal.
No, it's a different energy. It's different when you walk outside. It's like something in the air. It's like that crisp breeze in the fall.
Okay.
I mean, there's just no way it can be normal.
Imagine preparing for MLS Cup, right? And Charlie comes up to you and he's like, be normal!
Yeah, everything is normal. Don't change.
It's all about the moves. You know?
How do you experience the night? Are you hyped up?
For me, I try to enjoy the moment, right? So I know that it's not any normal game, and so I want to be appreciative. You don't know how many finals you're ever going to get to. These teams aside are, stretching imagination. But you got your, some of the guys are even kill that macho, I'm too cool for school approach. And it's like, come on, I know you're giddy. Everyone has a little bit of butterflies. It's a great moment. It's a big spectacle, and everyone wants to perform.
It'll be a bigger spectacle when Jozy Altidore plays tomorrow.
Oh.
Now, 24 hours ago, we sat right here on this panel, and you clowns were like, no way he's going to play.
It's not the smart decision. It's not the smart
decision. It's a final. Okay,
it's a final. It's a final.
I'm not saying that
he's been out for a month.
Okay, but
he trained full, according to what we've been told.
You made it sound like he was going to go 90 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
And that's because you weren't listening. That's because he's obviously not going to go 90 minutes. But at some point, we're going to see Jozy Altidore in this game. We bet drinks on it, guys, and when you pay me back, we're going top shelf.
All right, honk your nose, guys. A couple clowns here at this side of the table, according to Matt Doyle. Big show coming up for you. Here's what we got. History of the beautiful game in Seattle. Jillian Sakovits will take a look at that. We got the tail of the tape finishing up on Toronto and Seattle. We will hear from both coaches ahead of the big game. And Jonathan Osorio, the forgotten man, David Goss, will check in with him.
Greg, the other day, talking about you and your future, essentially said that if you guys win this game, you're here, you stay here with Toronto. Can you confirm that clause exists in your contract?
I have not talked about my contract for 199 games, and we're not going to start now.
Not going to start now with the contract talk, says Michael Bradley. He does know how many games it has been since he talked about it, though, and I'll just say what everybody is thinking. The report from The Athletic, Paul Tenorio, Sam Stejskal, saying that if Toronto FC win this MLS Cup, Michael Bradley's 2020 option will be triggered, and that option will be for a similar number that he made this year, which reportedly, according to the Players Union, is $6.5 million. I've never been in that scenario. I probably never will be in that scenario. At least you guys have played this game and have had the monetary rewards on the other side. What can you be thinking? How can this be normal?
I've never been in this situation. I mean, I've never heard of a situation like this. One game to win $6.5 million. You best believe Michael Bradley's going to show up tomorrow. He's going to be all over the place. If he doesn't have the best game, you can be assured that he's going to cover all the ground necessary to make an impact in this game.
Ike, is this like Joseph Martinez, where before these playoffs he said, "Don't mess with my family or my money"? Are you in that locker room saying, "Lock in"?
Don't put me in the Joseph category. Right now. I know that was a little whatever, but. Yeah, I mean, Michael's an intense guy. He's a leader. He's a captain. There's no way he lets guys deter from the plan anyways. And he's definitely not going to let it happen in the final. He's definitely not going to let it happen with what he's got riding on the game.
You can see the smile on his face too when the question's
I mean,
asked.
it's a game show, right?
He likes it.
Yeah, winner take all, right?
Rubbing the hands together. Look, speaking of big bucks, which Michael could get, and you said win, I think it's earn for Michael Bradley. Both these teams have spent the big bucks, Doyle, in order to build their rosters, especially at the top. Pezuelo, the third most expensive player in the history of this league. Bradley, people forget, $10 million back in the day from Roma. Rui Diaz from Liga MX. Nicolas Sedero from Boca. Jozy Altidore, we don't know the exact number, but it was Jermaine Defoe plus cash. What does this mean?
Spending big doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to win big, because the Galaxy could be up there. Chicago Fire over the last few years have spent a lot of money on their first team roster, but it does seem like you have to spend big to get to this point in the season. I mean, if you think back to it, the last team that really won an MLS Cup without this kind of roster, they had a two-time defender, but no,
I wish I had the right ring on.
Yeah, but no.
Why didn't you bring that?
You have to go back to 2013. It's been like it is a new era in MLS, only fueled by TAM in 2015 as well.
It's about getting those gifted players, the match winners, spending the right way, whether it's building around those gifted DP players or it's about finding the players that can integrate perfectly to your game plan, to your team.
All right. One of those players was Jozy Altidore. We still don't know his status. Josie Watch continues. Doyle says he's playing, but now it's time to go out to Seattle to a guy who knows a little bit more on the ground. That is David Goss. We'll do this over and over, Dave, until those lineups come out. Any update on Jozy Altidore's status?
Yeah, clocking in here, Andrew, for Josie Watch 2019, and it's been a strong 2 days. He was a full participant in training yesterday out at Starfire, and from what we were able to see, he seemed to be moving fairly comfortably. He was a part of everything the team did. He came back today and said, I worked hard, it felt good, we'll see how I react today. And then he jumped in and was a full participant in training once again. So while a week ago it felt like unlikely we'd be here, now that miracle might become a reality.
Yeah, it seems like maybe miracle was the wrong word for Josie to use. Now, Altidore, Bradley, Pezuelo, with Toronto FC, you focus on those big three yet again, but I can't help but think we might be forgetting again about the pride of Brampton, Jonathan Osorio.
Yeah, you guys have been on the show for about 5 minutes and haven't mentioned his name yet. And in my mind, Jonathan Osorio has been the best player for TFC in this postseason and over the last 2 years. He's elevated his game to a level we haven't seen many domestic players coming out of local regions, coming in, not being star players early, get to. So on that, we spoke to his coach and a few of his teammates on what makes him so special.
It's Jonathan Osorio. It's lovely from Osorio. Osorio, absolutely magnificent.
He is one of the most competitive players that I've ever been around.
The things he does on the ball are incredible.
The biggest thing is that he has a massive heart.
He shows up every day to work hard, to win.
And he's a huge competitor.
Golden Boot winner of the CONCACAF Champions League.
He has just a passion and a toughness.
Also is, for me, one of the best midfielders in the league.
It's hard to keep your spot, and he's evolved. He's gotten better.
He's always had an ability to wiggle away and to spin away from guys and create more time for himself.
He's a true competitor.
Regardless of what the game is, he's there to win, he's there to get better.
His position is a big money position.
A kid from their backyard can grow up and be in the MLS Cup final.
Jonathan's one of them where we appreciate what he does for us and then try to add the little things that we think can help him get to another level.
A normal kid from Toronto, from Brampton, grew up in Brampton, born in Toronto, that loves the game of football like more than anything in the world, and tries to show that every time he steps on the pitch.
What a year it's been for Jonathan Osorio. And as he said, Brampton native, he knows what it's like to be in the stands and root for this TFC squad, and he is going to be appreciative because a couple hundred TFC supporters have come in the city today. They're hosting a party tonight in Seattle, and then the club will be hosting a viewing party downtown in Toronto tomorrow, and they hope they'll see their club win their second ever MLS Cup.
For the first time away from home. Thank you so much, Dave. Now, let's go right to Jonathan Osorio. We've forgotten about him a little bit. Maybe people forget about CONCACAF Champions League and the big goals he's scored and the moments he's been in. Ike, as a defender, when you see Osorio on the other side, what are you thinking?
Yeah, he's a quiet baller. You know, you look at Pezuelo, you even look at Bradley, Jozy, you look at all these other guys first when you think of Toronto. But, you got a silent killer in Osorio who's able to do things that, obviously score goals. He's able to do little things, tracking back, winning his tackles. I think I love his game. I really do, and I hope that if they win, we can get another interview with him post game. Repping Brampton, give me that hype. I love that vibe.
Exactly.
So, he kind of has that edge, and you can see it.
Definitely has an edge. We will see more from him, of course, tomorrow. And we're going to pick up now where we left off yesterday with the tail of the tape. And we will get to the midfield today, as well as the attack and bench. Here's how it shakes out. Coach, these guys said Toronto FC. Greg Vanney has the edge. Goalkeeper, Stephen Fry. No surprise there, I don't think. And then defense, Toronto FC, though there are some question marks with Omar Gonzalez. Let's go right now into that midfield and take a closer look. And Doyle, this is going to be your zone to talk about Toronto, Osorio, but more than just Jonathan. Bradley, Pezuelo, if you count him in there.
I actually don't count Pezuelo in there because he's been playing more as a false nine. I think you have to count Marky Delgado as well. And the case that you make for these guys is that they're balanced. They can all go forward and find the occasional goal, find the occasional magic moment, and then they all track back and all are willing at this point to do the defensive work, the dirty work. And the second thing is we've seen them do it in the biggest stages in this region. We saw them go down to the Azteca. We saw them at the Volcan. We saw them in Guadalajara against Chivas, and they all played well in those games. They trust each other. They have a lot of chemistry together. That's why they're here.
All right. On the Seattle side, we know Nicholas Lodeiro. We know he is an MVP candidate just about every single year, but you have Gustav Svensson. You have Roldan. Ike, what makes Seattle special in the middle of the park?
Yeah, obviously you've got Nico Lodeiro, who I said yesterday was one of the most underrated turns in this league. He's an MVP candidate, and he should be every year. But then we've got Svensson and Roldan, who are just so good at what they do, closing at passing lanes, eating up space, making it easy for the guys in front of them and behind them with their positioning, with and without the ball. So I think that they're going to be catalysts, for this team moving forward tomorrow. Yeah.
Can you talk about what they would do for you as a center back when you have players like that in front of you? How that makes your job that much easier?
Yeah, when the game's helter-skelter, which a final could possibly be, you can't communicate every single thing that goes on in the game. So if you have guys who are tactically aware, IQ-wise, it's just so much easier for them to just help out with the spacing of closing down the ball, wherever it may be, helping with the double team, tracking late runners. I mean, these two guys and their IQ, it's at a high level.
And those are the ones that I'll have to keep track of, Alejandro Pezuelo and maybe Jozy Altidore. We shall see. I need your votes, and we'll start with you, Charlie. Which midfield are you taking? Who has the edge?
I got to give Seattle the edge. Svensson, Roldan, and then Lodeiro, who's just on fire in the playoffs. Creative, gets on the ball. That calm presence he brings. He can ride challenges. He can make that play. For me, I feel more comfortable if I had to choose with Seattle just because of the experience and the ability of Lodeiro.
Anybody want to take Toronto? Anybody think that's the move in this game?
It's close, but I mean, no. The team, you're going to go with Toronto?
I've actually almost talked myself into Toronto because I was actually Seattle the whole time. Mm-hmm. Because then I look at what Osorio's done, and it's just like, it just hit me now.
Yeah.
We obviously got Bradley who's going to play in a big game for him. Osorio, who's been underrated in these years. Delgado, who I think is another guy that doesn't get enough credit. It's closer than I thought. I think
it's super close.
Yeah, yesterday I was all Seattle, and now
I think Delgado is not as strong piece when you talk about Roldan, Svensson, Lodeiro.
Okay, what about you, Doyle?
I'm going with Seattle. Again, it's super, super close, but one team has Nico Lodeiro and the other team does not.
Okay, that's a good point. Let's put that check mark next to the Seattle Sounders in the midfield, and now let's go right back out to the Emerald City, to Susannah Collins for an AT&T call to the field. Susannah, what's the vibe like with the Sounders right now? How are they handling this pressure?
Well, Andrew, right now, it is a very lighthearted, loose vibe amongst this Sounders team. You said it earlier, Brian Schmetzer just trying to keep things as normal as possible for his guys. And we sat in on his press conference earlier today, and he basically said today he just wants the guys to have fun. So they were going to scrimmage, play a little 5v2, and he said that they're grown men, but really, they're kids, and sometimes you just need to let them play. So again, just a very loose atmosphere amongst the Sounders team right now. Having said that, they're still very focused on their opponent, of course, TFC. And the big question, as you mentioned, will Jozy play? But Brian Schmetzer says that doesn't really matter. His team is prepared for anything.
We've planned for Jozy playing and for not playing. I'm sure he's going to be involved in the game at some point. He's too big of a player. It is a final. I'm sure he'll be involved in some way, shape, or form, whether he starts or comes off the bench. That's Greg's choice. Everybody's talking about Jozy, but what about Omar? Because he's obviously a very talented player. So, Michelle, it's the same thing. Whether it's Iman, whether it's a back 3 or 5, whatever you want to call it, we've prepared for all those scenarios. And obviously, Omar is a big presence, especially on set pieces. So we'll be ready for him.
Well, Andrew, I heard you guys were betting on a little top shelf liquor about whether or not Jozy would play. Put me in Matt Doyle's camp.
Oh,
I
wow,
have a feeling. I
Susie.
just have a hunch we're going to see him tomorrow. And also, I could use the brown liquor right now. It's a little colder here today than it was yesterday.
We got a bottle of Captain Morgan on that, all right? We'll let you know how that turns out.
Oh,
Now,
jealous.
I heard Greg Vanney say that fans can't win the games. The players do. But you are going to have, I think, 70,000 plus fans in the stadium, most of them in Rave Green. What do you expect from this atmosphere?
I mean, I have been at several games at CenturyLink Field, and we know that it gets really, really loud here, but tomorrow is going to be next level. As you said it, a sold-out crowd here. They are trying to break decibel levels. They're literally bringing in the same decibel meter that they use for Seahawks games, and they're going to try to out-noise an NFL game, if that gives you any indication of what they're trying to achieve here. And I have been around these Sounders fans. I have no doubt that they are going to bring it tomorrow. And for Brian Schmetzer and for the players, they know that tomorrow, the scene here, it's going to be something really, really special.
I know, even ahead of time, even ahead of my little short walk, this is going to be crazy because I've been around the city. It feels like Seattle's ready to host a big event. Our fans deserve it. I know they're going to put on their best voices, their best tifo, all the things that they're planning.
I don't plan on having a voice after the game, yelling at my teammates, and if the crowd is loud, it'll be hard for my teammates to listen to me, but in the end, the fact that we're going to be hosting and there's 70,000+ people at our game is pretty cool to see, and Seattle really deserves a final like this.
As we walk out, it's going to be very loud. Once the referee blows a whistle, it's going to be very quiet. You learn to focus on the ball and blur the things around you out as much as you can. There's still those little moments, whether it may be we score a goal and you have that rush of emotions pouring out because you realize it's a big moment and you kind of get snapped back into the moment and you see what's going on. I think it was us winning the Western Conference at home in 2017 and all the lights in the stadium, and it was such a special moment. So I'm kind of hoping for something like that.
If you were amazed last year when more than 73,000 packed into Mercedes-Benz Stadium for MLS Cup, well, we're going to get close to that this year in Seattle. It is no joke. Go get that secondary market ticket because you cannot get them. They're all sold out right now. Let's go back to our tail of the tape, and now it's time to focus on the attacking players. And one of the guys that Seattle are going to have to deal with, and I mentioned it, is Alejandro Pezuelo, and he plays all over the field. How's he going to do it in this game, guys?
Yeah, like I said, we're not considering him part of the midfield because, Charlie, for most of these playoffs, the man has been a false number 9, doing a little bit of everything.
False 9, that means it's a player that likes to come back into the midfield, drawing center backs out of position, creating space for your wingers, hitting teams up in the wide areas. That's where they excel, and getting shots off.
Absolutely. He is the key to all of that, and his movement confuses teams. You can see it all that entire first half from NYCFC. Makes a good hard center forward run at the end of it, but primarily a playmaker. That one didn't lead to a goal. Charlie, this one right here does.
It does, and it's special. Simon, head up, knows where his players are, hit teams in the wide areas, use this space to your advantage, get isolated, your wingers, and then take them 1v1. Believe in your player to make that play.
Yeah, but let's focus on how it happened. This is Pezuelo right here. He has dropped all the way almost to the back line. Michael Parkhurst had followed him. He's trying to catch up. Atlanta suddenly a little disorganized.
And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Atlanta defenders only marking 2 Toronto players. You think you're in a good position, but what Toronto do so well is eat up this wide area, and you see Benezet, yum, Pac-Man takes it on, and then Julian Gressel faced up 1v1, bet on Benezet all day if you're Toronto FC, and they get that wonder goal.
Yeah, Pezuelo's movement created that one. And it's not just his movement, Charlie. It's obviously the movement of the guys around him. Again, we're seeing it right here against NYCFC.
Pezuelo gets out to the wide area, and then they're able to combine, play quick, and get shots off. It's another area that TFC can hurt you.
And you can see the disorganization that it causes right here. I mean, that's literally the left back and the center back, Matarrita and Collins. They're pointing one goes the other way.
They're disoriented, don't know where to go. Pezuelo draws them out to the wide space, and then it's all about the movement, the motion, combining, playing quick, 1-touch, 2-touch, and getting the shot off.
Yeah, good shot on goal. Good little bit of combination play. As Charlie said, they were seeing ghosts. They were chasing ghosts. This is a little different, though. This is Pezuelo now on the wing. This is how they use him when they bring in a true center forward. In this case, Patrick Mullins. We think in MLS Cup, it'll be Jozy Altidore for at least a few minutes, Charlie.
And you see only 3 Toronto FC attacking players to Atlanta's 5. And then you get your most creative player on the ball, Pezuelo. And what he does so well is draw attention. And then you get late runs from Nick DeLeon here. So you have all 6 Atlanta United defenders all combined here. They think they're in good position. They turn off. And then Nick DeLeon with the stunner.
The moneymaker right there, Nick DeLeon. It has happened via Nick DeLeon, via Richie Larea, but make no mistake, it is Alejandro Pezuelo, whether he's playing as a false 9 or whether he's playing on the wing or whether we might even see him in the midfield for a little bit. He's the man pulling the strings for Toronto FC, and he's the guy that Seattle are going to have to keep an eye on in MLS Cup.
Absolutely, and you've got to give credit to Ali Curtis, the general manager for Toronto FC. Sebastian Jovinko, gone in a flash this spring, and guess what? He made it happen on a tight timeline. Went to Belgium, got this deal done. $11 million for Alejandro Pezuelo. Now let's hit our tail of the tape once again and talk about the forwards, which is where we are putting the Spaniard. Charlie, I need you to make the case for Toronto FC. What makes them special up front?
It's the commitment to moving, the movement, confusing teams, disoriented the center backs. When Pezuelo drops into the midfield, what he does so well is now you're forcing center backs to commit. Which one goes, which one drops. And if the midfielders aren't doing their job, tucking back and making sure he's not allowed to turn, now you're causing problems. And then the wingers come inside, and then they do their damage because they're efficient, they're effective.
One thing that we haven't talked about with Pezuelo, and we just saw, free kicks, dead balls. The man is an absolute assassin. Sebastian Jovinko-esque. And if his service is coming into the box for a guy like Jozy Altidore, that might be pretty good as well. Toronto FC with so many weapons. Now, same thing goes for the Seattle Sounders. We saw Rui Diaz at his absolute best against LAFC, Matt. What sort of threats do they have?
I mean, Rui Diaz is the primary one. He's got, I think, a goal or an assist in every game, every playoff game he's ever played at this point. We saw exactly what he did against LAFC. We think of him primarily as a fox in the box, like a little guy who just poaches, finds gets off the back shoulder and finds goals, against a disorganized defense. But he can do more than that. This goal right here is a special one. But you also saw a goal in there from Jordan Morris, who is no longer a forward who plays out wide. He is playing like a true winger right now. His pace and his power are still his calling cards, but he's gotten so much better at combining through midfield when he cuts inside and so much better at picking out that last pass after beating a defender in isolation.
So these two guys gave the cases for both sides. Ike, you have defended against both these groups, and so now I want to know who you think has the edge.
Man.
You know.
It's again. I'm almost
Say
talking
it.
myself into
Say it with
another.
your chest.
It's Seattle. It's going to be Seattle at home. Jordan is in great form right now. I mean, he's been playing the best of his career with his movements, his finishing ability at the moment. Rui Diaz is another one of those killers on the box at the moment. He's lights out.
How do you defend him when you're up against Rui Diaz? How do you defend him?
You know, I think it's a team effort, right? Like, so yes, you're gonna have to win your individual battles. You have to pick him up when he's in the box and the runs that he makes. But ultimately, you know, it's the movement that he makes that you're gonna need help in that regards. It's not like you're Zlatan Ibrahimovic where you're gonna have to mark up with him back post. You kind of know where he wants to go. Rui Diaz is kind of all over the field, so you have to just keep your head on the swivel, to be honest. And then hope that he has a bad day in front of the goal at the same time, because ultimately he's gonna get a chance.
Yeah, for sure. You said Seattle. Maybe if Jozy was healthy, we might have more of an argument here. Are you going Seattle as well, Charlie?
Right now, yes, it's Seattle. Yeah. I mean, Rui Diaz, Jordan Morris, and then Jovan Jones is kind of the wild card. He has pace, so I think when you have his pace, he's able to keep that Toronto's back line in check, because that's another player that can hurt you on the counter. And so this is a complete attack for me.
If it was Jozy, I would choose Toronto FC. Jozy's not healthy. Like, he's going to play 15, 20 minutes tops, so I got to go with Seattle.
Super pumped for it. So I think it's Rave Green today, right? Rave Green Friday, so we're fired up for that. Let's go Sounders.
Russell Wilson, owner of the Seattles, he's all in. Some fun stuff going down in Seattle this week. I'm a little bummed. I'm following on the gram, got the stories coming, some penthouse parties, some drinks being had, and of course the massive trophy and the fish tosses. Who's got the surest hands at this table?
I'm certain I would one-hand one of those.
Wow. Taylor Twellman did it.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Commissioner John Garber almost did it.
That's a forwards mentality. That's a forwards mentality.
They're enjoying things.
Forwards mentality.
One-hand snatch.
I got to tell you, more of a steelhead trout guy.
Okay, look, Brian Spencer said he thinks it feels kind of like a Super Bowl week in Seattle, and Jillian Sakovits has more on the history of the beautiful game in the Emerald City.
I'd like to think Pele scored at least one of them with this ball. 78 or 79 Sounders jersey. This is from the original game played on Cinco de Mayo, 1974.
You could spend hours discussing the history of soccer here in Seattle, whether it's the first recorded match in 1890 all the way through the Sounders' inaugural season in 1974 when they played in the North American Soccer League right here at Memorial Stadium. And this is where I met up with soccer historian Frank McDonald to discuss all of that, but also Sounders boss Brian Schmetzer.
In many ways, the Schmetzers are the first family of soccer in this community. I bought gear at the Schmetzer Sport House in Lake City. Then Brian's with the Tacoma Stars. Then Brian is with FC Seattle that plays here, playing with his brothers. Then Brian is the coach of the USL team and wins a couple championships. And to see him get this opportunity and seize it and to contend for championships, that's what Brian has been born to do.
Something for the history books will be Sunday. 69,000 plus people at CenturyLink, the largest soccer match in Seattle history. What does that mean to the city?
A match of this kind, we want to once again remind whoever's listening that this is a mecca. It is a capital of world soccer. We want to set a record. We want to just show ourselves that, hey, we still got it. We want the World Cup. Bring some more seats in 2026, we'll fill those too. There's been leagues that have failed, but really no club has ever failed in Seattle. The fans have always turned out, and we've always been proud to have a piece of American soccer history here.
That 69,000 plus that we will see on Sunday is set to be the second largest final ever in Major League Soccer. That's it for now. I'll send it back to you guys.
Second overall, Atlanta's still with the top spot, but this is going to be an amazing game. I'm still bummed out that I don't get to be there, but this is the second best thing. What is it actually like, though, to play in Seattle when you step on that field, Charlie?
I've played 3 matches in Seattle, 2 against the Sounders and 1 with the U.S. men's national team. Victorious with the U.S., I scored in that match.
The other ones? You don't, what are the results? Sounds like you took the L.
Yeah, I took a big L.
Yeah.
But I have a tremendous amount of respect for this organization, the fan base. They're so loud. That's what I remember about being in that field, that stadium. You're like, wow, these fans are committed.
Yeah, for sure. I've had a lot of close games there, but I've caught a lot of L's there myself. It's a tough place to play. The fans bring it. It's a great environment. You know, sometimes the turf can be a little sticky if it's not raining. That's probably the only benefit of being in the Northwest when it rains there. But actually, a key thing for me that I didn't realize is the depth perception kind of throws me off a bit, because it's obviously not my home stadium, so I'm not accustomed to the surroundings. There are times that I'm trying to figure out my bearings. It's been a little easier since I've played there several times now, but it's one of the key things that I think they're overlooked.
East-West, of course, MLS Cup. Toronto FC will not have played as many times there as Ike Opara has with Sporting Kansas City and now with Minnesota United. Let's keep our tail of the tape breakdown going, and we'll finish it off with this. Reserves, bench, game changers. Coach, Toronto FC. Defense, Toronto FC. And 3 check marks now for Seattle at goalkeeper, midfield, and attack. Maybe it'll even up. Maybe Seattle will get the edge in our minds. Ike, for Seattle, make the case for their bench. Who are the game changers?
Yeah, I think if you just base off of what they had on the reserves last game, they've got a lot of role players that know their jobs. They do their role to a T. But I do think that they have Victor Rodriguez, who can be a game changer if they need a goal, if they need to tie it up, whatever it may be. I think that he is the big key on that bench when the attack. And then maybe give some love to my guy Nuhu.
Yes.
Here. Nuhu, the wild card, man. It's must-see TV when Nuhu's on the field. You're going to get some good. You might get some bad.
As a defender, when he's making those runs, are you thinking, listen, get one for us, get one for us?
When I saw him sub onto the field to lock down the game with LAFC, and he almost had a hat trick instead, I bought in my Nuhu stock. I bought in.
Yeah, don't go to the bathroom. Don't get a snack when Nuhu's on the field. All right, Charlie, make the case for Toronto.
Toronto, it's easy peasy. I mean, we're talking Nick DeLeon, 2 bangers. Omar Gonzalez could come off the bench, and if you need somebody to come in and lock it up and not allow set pieces to affect your team, Omar Gonzalez. Richie Larea, what he's done in this postseason. And then Patrick Mullins, for me, is a sleeper, because in 2014, he came in and had an assist for us against the LA Galaxy in a moment where we needed him. Hold up play, and he laid it off for Chris Tierney. I really love what Toronto does with their substitutes. And it's all about Greg Vanney reading the game, feeling, okay, this is who I need to insert to change the game, and the players have done it.
I mean, but is Mullins going to see the field if Jozy Altidore is your first guy off the bench and forward? He could be the game changer off the bench. Jozy Altidore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to go back on this. If you're Toronto FC, and I know you love Jozy and what a big player he is, but if he's not 100% healthy, why risk it? Why bring him in just to make maybe one shot or one run, and all of a sudden he pulls his quad? And if you've already used 2 subs, you're done. You're going down the man. I don't think you can take that risk in a game of this magnitude. Although, if he's the big time player on the squad, he's making that much money. If he's like, Coach, believe in me, give me the chance.
You know why you do it, Charlie? Because come Thanksgiving, you want to bring pumpkin pie and MLS Cup, bro. You want to have both. You want to have the trophy.
Maybe they already had Thanksgiving in Canada.
That's a good point.
Americentric point of view.
Get him.
So,
again, maybe you use them in extra time. You have the extra sub, you bring them on. But I really love, when you look at this team, all the options that they have off the bench.
If it goes to PKs, it's over. Toronto's going to lose. Like they're not going to. They're not going to win.
Listen, all right. Give me your bench pick.
Like Victor Rodriguez is really interesting because he gives Brian Schmetzer doesn't change things up a lot, but he does when Victor Rodriguez comes on, because suddenly Rodriguez operates as an inverted winger on the left next to Ladero, and you have 2 guys operating in that same pocket who could be number 10s, who are suddenly slipping Jordan Morris through or slipping Reed Diaz through or getting Brad Smith on the overlap. That's a weapon that not a lot of teams have. Like, Toronto doesn't have a weapon like that.
Is it better than Toronto's group, though?
No, it's not. But what DeLeon has done,
I give you credit for that.
What DeLeon has done, what Larea has done, plus Vanney's ability to switch formations and get these guys into position where they could win games, and then having Jozy for the last 20 minutes, he's going to play. Like that's a different level.
It sounds like you're going Toronto too, Charlie.
It is, because of the not only the players that have come on and made the impact, but Greg Vanney feeling the heartbeat of this team, knowing when to change it up. Not only substitutions, but like you said, the man management, the formation changes, all those little wrinkles in a game that if a coach is dialed in and tuned in as much as he has been, it spells success.
Did Nuhu blind you, Ike? You go in Toronto too?
Nah, no blind love there. It's Toronto.
Okay. It is Toronto FC with the bench. We even it up.
Nuhu bicycle kick to win MLS Cup.
Listen, I got
there you have it. Tail of the tape. 3 for each teams. We say in Toronto FC, coach, defense, and bench. That's where their edge is. And then for Seattle, Stephen Fry in goal. That midfield, and then the attack led by Rui Diaz and Jordan Morris. Now, the last thing there is to talk about here, before tomorrow at least, when we do learn the starting lineups for Greg Vanney and Brian Schmetzer, are our projected lineups, what we think is going to take the field. And we'll start with the Seattle Sounders, the home team. Ike, what do you see?
Same as we saw last game. I don't see too much change in the lineup and the personnel. I think you could maybe switch in and put Torres in, but I don't think Schmetzer will do that. I'm more curious what game plan they're gonna use. Obviously, they sat back against LAFC. I don't think that they'll do that against Toronto at home, but I don't think they're gonna be just guns sailing, just come out hot. We're gonna press, attack. So I'm very curious, kind of the performance that or Schmetzer will.
The worry about Arriaga last game was that he was so physical, he was like right on the verge of getting a red card. There's like a 0% chance that just physical play is going to get anyone on the Sounders a red card at home in MLS Cup in front of 70,000. Like, there's no chance. So play the super physical guy. Not that Roman Torres is.
Yeah, right. Alan Chapman is the referee in this one, just in case you were wondering about that one. Let's flip to the other side, and this is where, Charlie, you come into play. And you've had a lot to say about Jozy, his status, how they should use him. Here's what you see from Greg Vanney as a starting 11.
I know I've said I really think Simon should play center back next to Mavinga because of the French connection, but when you have Omar, the reason you brought Omar into the side is to keep clean sheets, to stop leaking goals. His organization, I think we might see him. He's had a week of training under his belt. He's ready to go. It wouldn't make sense for him not to play him right now. Other than that, I don't see a change. But if he does change, it's going to be Omar, Simon, or you bring in Jozy Altidore and you move Pezuelo out wide. There's no scenario Jozy starting tomorrow, but I really do think that this team is ready to go. They're feeling themselves, and they've already gone to Atlanta and won Atlanta. They've already gone to New York City and won at Citi Field. They've played on the road. They're ready for this challenge. Playing in Seattle is not going to be something that deters them from playing. Although I do think playing at home for Seattle really helps them and is going to push them to have an advantage.
If anything, maybe they remember Guadalajara.
Yeah.
CONCACAF Champions League in 2018.
Like, this is a team that has that. Like, they have been in those types of situations. And I do want to get back to the Omar Simon thing. Like, I went back and I watched a lot of film, and Simon's been pretty good, but Ike, when you and I went to the board yesterday, we diagrammed a couple of plays, and it was Simon not doing the right job of making sure, like, if he's pushing up, he's not, like, you can't let Ezekiel Barco turn. It was Simon getting into the open field and, like, just completely whiffing on a tackle. I think Omar walks right in.
I don't know what to do if you're Greg Vanney, because being a center back myself, I know the situation that Omar's in, and he obviously is the...
Bro, if you had missed a month before that playoff game that you played in, but you were okay in that game, they would have had to tie you down to keep you out of the
absolutely. Okay, Omar's for sure wants to play the game. Omar wants to play the game.
Yeah.
Do you play him if you're Vanney?
100%. He's just a better player.
What if you were in this situation?
I would want to play, yes.
Yeah, but do you think you'd be put in this?
I would understand if Vanney didn't put me in. That's all I'm going to say.
I want to say one more thing. Like, there's no guarantee Simon is going to be there next year. So, like, who cares if you piss him off?
Well, we're not worried about that. It's a final.
We're not worried about
that for a final.
Omar, you're
going way too deep there.
You cannot take, like, put the guy who wins in there.
Everybody's going to be happy if you're lifting the Philip F. Andrews trophy at the end. That is the lesson to take away here. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern is the game. The pregame show is right here at 2. It is exclusively on Twitter. We're still waiting for Ike Opara's glamour shots. He will be with us. You can trust in that. Kalen Carr is back. And oh, by the way, Kalen Carr was inducted today into the Cal Berkeley Hall of Fame.
Buddy.
Congratulations.
Congrats, big time.
To the helmet, to the headband, whatever we're calling him, and then, of course, the game.
With Dana
this
Vollmer,
is what matters. 3 p.m. Eastern, MLS Cup 24, ABC in English in the U.S., Univision, TUDN in Spanish here in the U.S. and in Canada, TSN and TVA. For everybody who puts on these productions, thank you for all your help, and thank you for watching.
MLS
For
Cup
Charlie,
tomorrow.
Mike, and Matt, I'm Andrew. See ya.
Peace.